Well, hello, dudes and dudettes. Let's rap a little bit on a Monday. Happy Monday or something. It's December 13th, 2021. Welcome to my neighborhood. The neighborhood is in pain this morning. That is if you're a Raiders fan. We're going to talk about the Raiders today from a coaching perspective. Awful stuff. Basically speaking, the entire coaching staff should be fired after yesterday's debacle. Let's go into what happened, shall we? The Raiders go into a game in Kansas City against a very good Kansas City team, knowing that they have to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So the little geniuses get together and they go, "Hey, got a cool idea. Let's go to the center of the logo and stomp on it. That'll teach them." Raiders lost 48-9 on the first play of scrimmage. Josh Jacobs fumbles. Other way for 6. Before Mahomes even gets the ball, he's already up 7-0. And away they went. 3 turnovers later, or 2 more turnovers later, just a complete annihilation. They got a courtesy field goal at the gun at the end of the first half. 35-3 they were down. Game was over. They came out and acted like they knew how to play football in the second half. Here's why I think that the coaching staff needs to go. It's not because they lost to a very good team, which may be in the Super Bowl this year. Let's be quite frank about it. Them or the Patriots from the AFC. No coach in professional sports should allow a culture where the players out and out do something that stupid so as to inflame the other team. Take a page out of Ron Rivera's playbook with the Washington Redskins. That's what they're called as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't inflame. When the Cowboys coach comes and says, "Hey, I'm pretty much guaranteeing a win," he's like, "Well, that's not how I do things. We just control what we can." That's what leadership is. See Ron Rivera. Rich Bisaccia, being the interim head coach, basically lost any chance of being the permanent head coach yesterday in that game. He's lost that team. It's a players-run team, and they're running it into the ground. They are now 6-7, and the chances of the playoffs hinge on getting a heck of a lot of help and winning the next 4 in a row. Schedule is semi-favorable, but let's be honest. Let me get into character. Playoffs? And scene. No. Hell no. Season effectively ended yesterday. So let's talk about what they should do. Bisaccia, gone. Offensive coordinator Olsen, gone. Above all else, Bisaccia needs to go, and Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, needs to go. They leak like a sieve. Leatherwood is not getting better. He's been moved from tackle to guard to make it easier for him. He's a rookie. He's struggling. And they've got some injuries, but there's no delta going on. There is no rate of change. There is no improvement here as we go late into the season. And quite frankly, they suck at the line level. And when the internal line, the middle of the line, your guards can't block, that changes the throwing lanes. It throws off the timing. The fact that Carr's even able to function really surprises me. I do not put it in Derek Carr's wheelhouse on this. He's done pretty admirable considering that they can't run the ball and they can't block. Leatherwood actually had a 0 PFF rating in yesterday's game. 0. That is almost impossible on pass blocking. He literally could not block a flea correctly. That's a problem. And I love the pick. I think he's going to end up being a really good guard or tackle. But he needs a coach that knows what the F he's doing. So Tom Gable, get out of here with the door at you in the arse. Next one, this is going to surprise you, but our intrepid defensive coordinator when are they going to have an attacking defense that actually prioritizes turning the ball over? When are they going to stop letting people catch in front of them and use their speed to get around them and torch them? When is that going to happen? Just explain that to me. Okay? When are we going to stop playing prevent the entire game, giving up yardage, and then hoping not to break? And then, oops, we broke. And I love our defensive coordinator. But if there isn't a change in personality in that defense where they start hitting some people, number one, it's not Raiders football. Number two, it ain't working. Okay? We should have had better. We should have had a top 10 defense this year. Giving up way too much yardage, way too many plays. Way too much time of possession, quite frankly. And that's on both the offense and defense. But I think both coordinators go. The offensive line coach has to go. And the head coach has to go. Who shouldn't go, in my opinion, is Mr. Mayock, the GM. Here's why. During the Chucky reign, and I didn't realize this at first, Chucky had 51% of the personnel decision-making authority. He could outrank his GM. So you want to look on what some of the misses, some of them were Chucky's. And I'm a Chucky fan still. I really liked Gruden. I thought he was a pretty innovative mind. He's a little bit of a bull in a china shop, though, and that can get a little old. And it can also be ineffective. So my thing is, you give Mayock the 100% that he should have as a GM. And you get somebody, let him pick who's going to be the head coach, and they bring in their own staff. People are going to utilize the people he's brought in. And really, it's going to be really, really important that you keep him in there. Because if you don't, you're just going to bring in somebody that's going to rubber stamp for Mark Davis, the owner. You need football people making football decisions. And Mike Mayock makes good decisions. More times than not. But you need a coach who's actually going to make the team have some discipline with a good scheme that works. Now, what does the team do on the field between now and the end of the season? Because they're going to probably play out the string. If they're not going to learn how to block on the offensive line, I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do a movable pocket. You're going to have to do planned rollouts. You're going to have to adjust the passing scheme and the passing lanes accordingly. You're going to have to make adjustments, which is something this offensive coordinator just has not done well enough. He's made some, not well enough. Carr's got enough wheels, he could do that for sure. Consummate pro, really good quarterback. Really good. I think they should keep Carr. But if I'm Carr, I don't want to be here. He's been here several years. Never out of defense. Not 1 year. That's deserving of the name Raiders. Okay? Rarely had playmakers on the outside. Very rarely. And that's only the last couple of years. And you notice he puts up good numbers. Okay? Rich Gannon, the last quarterback that was any good, he had some guys that were pretty decent. One of them's in the Hall of Fame. Oh, wait. I think both of them are. Tim Brown and this loser that played for the San Francisco 49ers for a while. You know who I'm talking about. Look it up. If I say his name, I'm going to get upset. You do need to have some you do need to have some receivers. It's Jerry Rice. I was just messing with him. There are times where I just think that he needs to be somewhere else. Not because he's not good enough, but because this organization has let him down. So where would I go if I'm Carr? If he was to be traded or whatever, where would be good places for him? Just so happens I've given this some consideration. It's called show prep. So let's go to some places that know how to play defense and actually have some tools that he can use. Even if sometimes, in one case, often injured. But let's see what he can do with it. Number one location I would go if I was him is the Miami Dolphins. Great young coach, great defense. Not great, really good defense. Great's overused. And they're a quarterback away from being a really deep run towards a Super Bowl type of team. Tua holds them back. Carr makes them a Super Bowl threat. That's number one. Number two, Carolina Panthers. Since Cam had the... just like with Zeke Elliott, he hasn't been right. But yeah, let's everybody go get it. Let's make sure everybody gets sick and then it's all over. Even though the immunity lasts about 2 months. Yeah. We're at genius level. Not. Anyway. Their quarterback away and trying to get McCaffrey to stay on the field, they could be special. Number three possibility. And I'm trying to go in order of what would be good for him. San Francisco 49ers. If they move on from Jimmy G and they don't end up pulling off a trade for Rodgers or something like that or signing him, he makes them an immediate Super Bowl favorite. Immediately. I wouldn't say the favorite, but they're right there. They're right there. Great defense, good culture, good GM. That'd be a good place for him. Next place to be good would be Denver. Although he doesn't play that well in cold weather, it's not prohibitive. And they got good enough of a defense. He could turn them into a solid and perennial playoff team. Will they win the West? Probably not. But close. And a couple of good drafts, they could have the talent that they need to challenge the Chiefs in the West. The chances of a trade with someone also in the West is not very good, so I don't think that's what they'd want to do. They wouldn't want to send a really good quarterback to one of their other rivals within the same division. And then the last one I would go into is the Houston Texans. They've got a GM who is doing it right. He's stockpiling some young talent. A quarterback of his nature, and by the way, I get the fact that David, his brother, got just annihilated there because they had nobody to block for him. If they can draft some good offensive line talent, a little bit more on the offensive weapons, Carr makes them a very good team. But that's the last of the group of teams that I'd like to see Derek Carr go to. I would like to see him stay with the Raiders if the Raiders get their heads out of their collective arses. But that will require that Mayock is put completely in control of this operation. He is that good. And that Bisaccia, after yesterday, has no claim to that job. He finishes out the string and he goes and looks for other employment. I wouldn't fire him yet, but I wouldn't be mad at it if they did. Olsen, gone. Go coach a junior college team, my friend. Maybe your crap will work there, because it ain't fooling anybody in the NFL. Cable, retire. Go somewhere else. Just do something else? No. We need someone that has some cred. Somebody that knows what they're doing on an offensive line perspective, can change schemes, can make these guys better. I know there's been injuries, but you got to work around that. And I would say Tom Cable is probably the least likely person that they should fire, actually. Well, let's say number 3. Number 1 should be Bisaccia. Number 2 should be offensive coordinator Olsen. Without doubt. Cable and our defensive coordinator are iffy. But your defensive coordinator, because there's been injuries on the offensive line, let's be honest. Let's give Cable a break there. But I still think you got to go fresh, because they're not getting any better, the ones that are there. Okay? But he is trying some things, and he does have the injury. So I'll give him a bit of a mulligan. But our defensive coordinator, giving up way too many yards. And it's a philosophy thing. Let him dink and dunk, and then hope you don't miss tackles. But there's nothing that's creating turnovers. That's not Raiders football. You really do need to start having some popping happen. They got to start popping some pads in the secondary. They need to start getting after the quarterback even better. Some controlled blitzes, some packages, some deception. They got to start getting, bumping and running with this coverage. You got to start bumping the receivers, disrupting the timing. They're just not doing these things. And it's a philosophical issue. And this is a guy that was one of the chief architects of the Legion of Boom. So we got to figure out, why are we not there anymore? Why are we not in that mentality? So if it's fixable, fix it. If it's not fixable, ditch it. Cable, give him the benefit of the doubt. Actually, the more I think about it, because he's had so many injuries on that line to deal with. And if those guys come back, this is a very different offensive line, and therefore a very different season. More like the one that started 3-0, quite frankly. But your offensive coordinator, he's trying some things, but he's not, he needs to do some more obvious things than he's doing. When it's jailbreak on every play, you need, maybe bubble screens are good, but you got to get him out of the pocket. Get him out of the pocket on planned rollouts. Do some things to slow that rush down. Okay? If at all possible. All right, and if you can change the philosophy there, then maybe he's even salvageable. Head coach has got to go. You can't allow Bisaccia to have this club next year. Not after the breaches of discipline that you're seeing. He had impressed me early on. Yesterday's a no-go. I'm really upset about what I saw yesterday. So the only untouchable to me is Mayock. If Mayock goes, so do I. I cannot even entertain the thought that someone's getting rid of him when he didn't even have the majority of the authority and was being overruled on player decisions. Can't do that. And who are you going to replace him with? And then the other untouchable to me is Carr. You get rid of Carr, put him in a nice situation. That's good for Carr. It's not good for the Raiders. Who are you going to replace him with if you're the Vegas Raiders? Who are you going to replace him? You think Aaron Rodgers is coming to Vegas? No. He sees that you can't block. You couldn't block a fly. He sees that stuff. He's got options, man. He's going to go somewhere where he doesn't get killed. He knows Carr isn't the problem because he's a quarterback. He sees it. He's not stupid. He's a malcontent and he's a diva, but he's not stupid. Give Paulie a cracker there, man. But what I will say is, if they don't, if you're not going to be able to get Rodgers, Who do you got? Look at the draft. You think Bryce Young's going to... Yeah, he'll be good in about 5 years. That's a 5-year project there, and that's your Heisman Trophy winner. He's a second-round draft pick if anybody has their head on straight. There's literally, for the first time since 2013, there is no first-round draft pick in the quarterback class. So you got nobody coming out. You got nobody's going to want to play there. All the deck chairs are already arranged. You've got nobody to replace him with. So as much as you want to run him out of town and see what Mariota can do, I mean, basically, Mariota on his back is the same as Carr on his back, don't you think? Idiots. Yeah, idiots. And he can't even stay on the field. One run in the first week, and he was out for 4 or 5 weeks. Come on, man. He's not the answer. Mariota's not the answer. Carr is your answer if you can put a team around him to use his ability. You will see a team, especially if you know how to block, you get your guys back and you block up front and you get a running game established. You will see the Derek Carr and the Raiders show of the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season on a pretty regular basis. Deshaun Jackson has to get used better as well because you got to stretch the field, and that affects how the safeties sit down in the zone. You got to flush them out. There's lots of things going on. That's why I'm really, I got to burn in my backside on Olsen. Cable, I give him a mulligan. Bisaccia until yesterday, I was a fan. He let that happen. I got a huge problem with that. Huge problem with that. Because it shows a lack of leadership. That should never be allowed to happen. Okay? I understand being a player's coach and all that, especially in this era. Never that. Even Chucky wouldn't have allowed that. And that's one flamboyant dude. Okay? Our DC just needs a philosophical change. Can that happen? Mayock and him sit down. They bludgeon that out. Yeah, maybe he could make it work. But if there's not a change there needs to be a new DC. Needs to be. Offensive coordinator, coach, done. Mayock, give him the ability to hire and fire. But Mark Davis, hey, he's Al's son. He's going to get the final say. But take Mayock. Let Mayock give you the recommendation, and then go, yup. Because Mayock's the kind of guy he'll let everybody think it's your idea when he makes the greatest hire that's possible. He's a team player, and he's really stepped up, and he's taken a lot on the chin considering, and a lot of it not earned. He never says boo. He gets a lot of blame for the draft picks that have not worked out. And I think if you really look at it, they were ones he descended on. Almost at least 90% of them. Okay? Keep that in mind. So yeah, the Raiders are they're bums at this point. I'm pretty disgusted by it. I'm a big Mayock fan. I was a big Chucky fan. I'm a big Carr fan. And if any of those three, if all three of those are no longer with the Raiders in 2022, neither will I. It's just the way it is. I've referenced Coach Rivera. I love me some Washington football team, a.k.a. Redskins. They'll probably be called the Red Wolves or something of that nature. When they announce that team, I will adopt that team because Coach Rivera says it's the name. I'll say that's the name. I'm not saying WFT. It's just moronic. I'm going to call it a football name until I hear otherwise. Because I'm a rebel like that. But the fact is that is a man that any coach can learn from. That is the model of leadership. That is the model of how a head coach should conduct himself. There's not one man on that team that looks at him and is going to say, no, sir. They're going to run through a wall for him. And if he says something's bad, they're not even going to think about it. It's bad. He says go over and do this thing differently, they're going to go do it. Because he's earned it. Absolutely. So I like Washington. I always have. I've rooted for them since 1978. So that's my second, the Raiders are my second team. I don't have to have a second team. So silver and black are on life support as far as I'm concerned. Because I'm tired of just the idiotic junk and the inconsistency and the drama. I'm not a drama guy. I'm just not. So that's my 2 cents today on a Monday. Cantankerous I am. It's a good Scrabble word for you if you're a Scrabbler. I'm going to leave it at that, though. So you guys enjoy today and tomorrow. I will try to be back in midweek. Things have been very hectic here. I will do my best. But until then, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the ringy-dingy, say all, and then spread this video far and wide. Because more sharing is more caring. I need all the caring that I can get. And that's what sharing is. Share this to as many as 5, maybe even 10. Why limit yourself? Pull out your whole freaking Rolodex for me. Send them to everybody so that they can get mediocre sports knowledge 2 to 3 times a week as I'm able to produce it. I'd be quite thankful for that little bit of effort. Till Wednesday, you guys take it easy. Peace out, me homies. See ya.